later places in the match. We see a kind of a skewed playing path already just by the graphics. We're going to have to see the minimap itself to see how that goes. But what we see coming from the southeast part of the map, starting from the military island, going all the way down to Zarki. It might reach the Georgia Pool, maybe the extent of it, but we're going to see very, very similar locations once again. You see FaZe still going to his military power. We saw actually FaZe going for a little bit of that Novo piece as well. So we saw that in game one, something that we haven't seen from them before. We always saw them, you know, around the military power and taking a little bit of the kind of the eastern part of military a little bit as well. But this time around in game one, we saw them taking a little bit of Novo. Didn't find too much success.
We're going to see if they're going to be contesting Novo with Ghost. Ghosts have multiple locations that they like to go to, depending on where their plane is, and Novo is this time around. FaZe also, we know that Novo is their plan B. But it looks like FaZe may just be deciding to long drop over to power. It's difficult to tell from the minimap, but I will also say Ifty and Vega once again are both in the military base. Multiple potential contestants on this second game.
And really, it hasn't been about early aggression when it came to many of these teams throughout the first 3 days. But day 4, you talked about ITY and Vega Squadron, who did not get the military, who did not get Nova, but instead opted for the Sosnovka military island. Just really sees a lot of conflict in the early game. Obviously, Vega Squadron making it to the top 5 in game 1. We just see them doing really well ever since day 3, you know, kind of kicked off. But we're seeing here once again, Vega Squadron, they have to do a little bit of early aggression to get them into the mid game.
Yeah, Vega split into 2 once again by Ifty, letting Ifty get the C barracks, as we like to call them. A little bit of a potential run out by Ifty to try and grab them. Take some shots onto Vega, but no such angles were discovered, and they were going to back off and allow Vega to separate once again. So I can't imagine there's going to be too much contest here. Vega, they know that they shouldn't contend here.
And really, you know, you talk about all these things that it really doesn't really come as a reward, even if you do win out from early aggression. And I think IFTY and Vega, they're very much aware that both teams are going to be still compounding this exact same military base. But the truce has been called. They're just going to go for the looting phase, and we see the first circle coming through. And military island is not going to be a lucky day for these guys. Ghost, IFTY, and Vega, they have to travel a little bit north.
They do. But you go to Military Island knowing that it's a less % chance that you're going to have to not rotate off that path. And as far as circles that they have to rotate to, this one's not bad. The bridges aren't in play, but both exits of the bridges, neither of them are too far from the edge of the circle, so it can't be too bad for them. It's pretty centralized, should be pretty even for the majority of these teams. In fact, I think this is the most just straight dab center circle we've seen this week.
I think it is, and you know, we also see something that's different from what I've definitely seen from my games. It was Western circles mostly, but centralized, as you do say. Another thing that I want to mention is that Liquid did not even touch Yasnaya quite yet. I know the playing path was a little bit away from them. They might have to go for the vehicles. I think Ibiza is the first one to grab it, but rest of the team, they're just going to be rotating around kind of the bridge areas and really not towards Yasnaya. So I wonder how that changes their play.
Well, the Yasnaya is in the circle, and it's actually on the edge as well, which is good for them because it means that they can arrive, continue to loot up, and they don't have to worry too much about people coming in from the other side of it. No one's at Stalber. No one's on the Kameshi on the northeast coast. So they should be fine just looting up and waiting to rotate again in the second circle. 54th here, once again from Vega, making a very, very quick transition. Swapping from a buggy over to a Dacia is a safer vehicle. Here comes Edenol on the follow-up.
You see 54th already having crossed the bridge from Sosnovka Island, and Edenol is going to follow in his tracks. Crossing the bridge now, and Maxador and Vampire Game, the other 2 members of Vega Squadron, are going to cross on the right side of the island onto that different bridge on the opposite side. So, I mean, obviously, 54th and Edenol were successful in really just clearing out the path for the rest of the teammates to come through. But Maxador and Vampire Game, they might have run through kind of an Entis Ace who's going to be down in the farm area for most of this tournament.
GLL right here doing the standard drop that they've... So GLL actually, I feel like they did a lot of random drops, so to say, or at least unpredictable drops, but it seems they've recently just stuck with school and the apartments, realized that no one else is really contesting them there, and so might as well just go there having a better early game. We've seen them have some pretty disastrous early games. They try to contest other places, so they decided to make a safer push there. Atletico here, once again, Pachinki. No one contesting them this time around. Sometimes you can see a couple of teams contest them, but recently, I believe Myth was actually the team that would usually contest them, but they have then moved up to the north around Ruins and Sunken.
And definitely around the Asian teams that we have been mentioning, IFTY is there and GOL is there as well. But I think the real surprise did come from 4 Angry Men. 4 AM was putting out numbers ever since kind of the end of day 2, and they're just really started to show themselves ever since day 3 and really just raking up their rankings. We didn't think that Asian team coming from such a different background, just coming into this very much the FPP tournament, really going up against teams who have put hours and hours just on this mode alone. Coming into this, you thought the Asian teams would struggle, but teams like Myth, teams like 4 AM, they have surprised us to a main extent.
Yeah, 4 AM though, like all the other teams that I mentioned at the very beginning, didn't have too great of a game last game. So once again, it's one of those storylines that is like, are they going to take over? Hopefully last game doesn't tilt them too much. They should be able to adjust though, and they're actually in a new spot themselves, all the way up in Severny. Instead, not trying to go around the Georgia Bowl area, possibly because they expected a lot of players to plan B Georgia Bowl, just judging on the plane route. They decided to go for a long drop, and here's a nice crate.
And we talk about AWM kind of being the ABC factor when it comes to, people always like the AWM. Obviously, it has the maximum damage, kind of the most damage you can get out of a single bullet. We saw that from the Magnum guns, but people do say that, the Nox really doesn't give you any points in this specific tournament, or nor any of the previous tournaments currently in the PUBG industry. But how does that really work out when you can get the knocks, but it doesn't really get you the kill right away?
Well, it was mentioned before on the desk, I believe, that the SKS has started to be favored marginally more than the car, just because with the AWM and the car, the time it takes you to put the next shot in the barrel, that person can easily get behind a tree or even get stolen by someone else. And so that's one of the major things about it, is that, or also even if you miss your first shot with a gun like the AWM, it's like, oh god, I'm ducking. Like, you can't just lay out a ton of them in a row in the few moments that you have before they retreat behind cover.
It really is, and picking up the AWM, I'm sure it does feel great. I guess more so than picking up a Car 98, but instead, we're going to see how they utilize the weapons here, and also Liquid, which is still talking about that from the early game. They still haven't gone to Yasnaya other than Ibiza. So Samty, Scoom, and Jeems, they're going to be surrounding very close to it, but more likely, Yasnaya is not going to be fully farmed and fully taken care of.
No, but Liquid, the spots that they chose to loot in the compounds are relatively central, but right now it's Atletico. They're able to get a kill earlier and then arriving without their teammates. They do have another team in LG just to their north. Right now it's actually Entis and TSM perhaps taking shots at each other.
It really is an Entis stage. You see two of the members down in this area and TSM on the opposite sides. Most of the TSM members not split this time around, and we saw this team, once they get the kind of counters on, they can make great plays, but we've seen them just getting cut off is the biggest mistake from this tournament so far, and I'm sure they are reflecting on those little mistakes they have made throughout the tourney. But we see Atletico once again on Cry, trying to get some shots onto Nix, but really not coming through. And LG, you got to give props to them. They're doing it much better than they showed in day 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Every team here has been learning a lot over the course of the days, them especially. We're going to see what they can do on this next game. They performed well last game, but you also have to recognize that they did get a little bit of circle luck. So the question is, if they can't use that a little bit, it's a mental thing, of course, momentum, but if they can't maybe perhaps use that momentum, give them some more confidence to go be more aggressive, take some more fights, and then actually force their way into a top spot in the game when they aren't quite so lucky.
And really is, and any type of improvement will be appreciated by such a large fan base they do have back in Brazil, and Luminosity is going to be very happy with how they ended game 1, and TSM, another team really looking for improvement ever since the first 3 days, not going to the full extent of their anticipation, but Break, trying to get some shot. We've seen him to make these shots in solo queues during his streams, but really not coming through this time around.
It's a long shot.
It really is. It's a Scar with it looks like an 8 times scope, 4 times scope. Yeah, 4x times scope, but coming through. It's just really difficult to get a small spec on trying to get that angle out.
Yeah, exactly. But the big thing is that he actually dealt damage to the vehicle. He took out a couple of the tires, at least one. And so that's going to make, I believe that's Vega. We weren't able to see the tag on the screen because it was just such a distance away, but I believe that was Vega trying to set up a position. And because the tire was gone in that vehicle, it's going to be a difficult choice for him to decide whether he wants to make the running rotation, slow driving rotation, or if he wants to just sit there and hope that he doesn't get breached upon by another squad coming over. So it's not a very comfortable position for at least that lone member of Vega. Atletico right here, though, they've actually pushed up north where they forced LG from. I really like this. It's allowing them to gain a little bit of control around the areas surrounding them.
It really is, and two teams that have been facing each other for a very long time. Tempo Valiant, it seems like he went down to the member of IFTY, and this Chinese team obviously not finding as much success as 4AM, but still trying to put out a statement to say that we can still make a contention.
Trying to find where Tempo are. I think they're pretty smack dab in the center. So everyone else from Tempo seems to be safe. For now, it was just one. Yeah, oh, they're covered up by GOL's tag, but that is them right smack dab in the center. They're red-ish, maroonish, whatever. Ghost, another NA team, currently make their own rotation through. They safe for now, and they're actually starting to maybe potentially push quite close to the center. They may come across another team. Entis and TSM, I think, are the two that are closest to them.
And Cameron, you do say it's pretty much a late entrance compared to every other team who has already made themselves established down in the central part of mostly around Rozhok and a little bit of Pachinki as well. But it's going to be about Ghost trying to make the central rush. Is this a little bit too greedy going forward?
It is. You can see FaZe and Vitality behind them, and they do stop. Now Ghost stops because either scouting out this compound, they do spot that Entis are in this position. This isn't a bad compound for them to be in. This is actually where we saw Tempo's Storm play when C9 was just over the ridge to the north of them before Tempo had to make that unfortunate rotation. But it's not a bad spot to play. They're able to get a lot of information surrounding them up towards the center of the circle, which means that they have all this information at their advantage when the next circle reveals itself and they can make a good rotation.
And we have seen this kind of the story of Ghost over and over again throughout this tournament, a roster change and really an emotional turmoil they had to recover from ever since that last week's change. And it makes it difficult when you do have to fly so often in such a kind of a turmoil that does come through when all that endurance is being tested by all the physicalities that you have to go through by participating in so many tournaments and have to adapting to change as well.
Yeah. Just jumping from tournament to tournament and even just playing in a LAN environment, even if it's in your hometown, is a completely different skill that a lot of these players aren't too familiar with. Even with all the ones such as FaZe, Vitality that have been at every single event so far, that's still only 2. That's not that many.
Yeah. Really we see another shot of IFTY kind of driving their pathway. They're still in the circle, but they want to make a little bit more central in their position. We see the next circle going to be coming through, and IFTY, very much a smart decision. And we have seen a little more centralization for the past couple of games, maybe except the final circle at the end, but mostly IFTY just expected, they were still way inside the circle, but they wanted to get a little bit more closer to the center.
Maybe driving back Tempo Storm. Tempo may have an angle on them, but TK here using that hill to his advantage to dodge any potential shots, dodge the angles, is going to make himself get past. There's a lot of hills in this area that he's playing just west of school that he's driving through. May not want to overextend all the way into Rozhok. Right now, though, it's Jempty, the usual scout for FaZe, scouting on top of this hill. Vega, don't know if they're taking any shots at him specifically. He's dodging bullets, ducking and weaving, trying to find a spot for FaZe to go to. I believe they're currently driving into the circle, but just trying to find a better compound or even just a better part of the hill to play on.
And we've seen FaZe, they really do this with Yemti, trying to be the kind of the initial scout with that motorcycle, trying to go around, trying to find some vision, even get shot at a little bit just to find out the direction of where they are. But IFTY makes a long travel down to where Technosh from LG is kind of alone by himself in this play zone. And LG, 9X and Axe, and the rest of his teammates are down in the kind of the southwestern part. You see him on the minimap on the bottom right side of your screen here. But Technosh, all alone once again. We've seen this work out sometimes, but mostly this has been the one that has, many people have been critical upon.
What he needs to do right now is just stop moving. He definitely heard Ifty arrive, and so the fact that he's just a lone player, he does have the building for protection. What he needs to do right now is just stay still, hope that they don't spot you through a window or whatever, and his position that he ended up on top of the stairs is a really good position for that. With that one, there's not too much that he can retreat on if they do end up pushing on him, but right now he just needs to hope that he doesn't get pushed, and they just leave without noticing that he's there. If they do find him, it's okay. The rest of his teams aren't alive. He's not the last remaining player, but that still should be the name of the game for him right now. Vega, and it's actually TSM taking where FaZe went. FaZe had left to the north. TSM are now taking this scouting area. See if they don't come the clash against Vega.
Coming in, TSM, this team wanted so much out of this tournament, but has been a little bit underwhelmed by the actual results of what came about. But they still have this last day left to really make a statement to all the people that are watching over them. And TSM have always been prestigious to the fact that all these individual players are extremely talented in their own rights, but team play has kind of doubted them on just a little bit for this specific tournament. They're not going to be happy with a top 10 finish. They want top 5 and even to top 4 and top 3 even. That's kind of the standard that TSM is living upon, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Absolutely. Marina here from Avangard, it would make a rotation too. He split from the rest of his team, potentially scouting out taking a little bit of a building. Not too much information you can find from here. I'm worried that he may accidentally overextend on the 4 a.m., but it looks like he just wanted to scout out this single building out and may go back and retreat to his teammates. Or even just stick around here and try to play a little bit of a linchpin in case they do get breached upon by someone else.
It really is. Avangard, once again, another team that we always been highlighting upon. Day 1 has been disastrous for this team, and Day 2 hasn't looked any better, but it seemed like they're picking it back up. Kind of end of Day 2 and maybe beginning of Day 3, they showed what they're made of and really picking up their standings way higher than what it used to be at the beginning of this tournament. But Avangard, they've seen a lot of success. They really defined a lot of success when it was defending the compounds from most of these central positions that they found themselves in. But when they were moving around, trying to make this hard rotation, it really hasn't come to a fruition.
Yeah. I really like this compound that they're in, though. It allows them to take good map control in the area around them. The one big problem is that looking at the circle that it is right now, more than likely they're going to have to cross into the south end of the river. But the upside is that you can gain a lot of information on that side around Rozhok, and so you can at least make an informed decision rather than just a blind barrel down onto the opposite side. But these bridges are always quite dangerous, especially that center east one. It's camped on both ends by Liquid. This is another split that they're pulling through. They like the splits. It's very successful. We're going to have to see if this one is as successful as the previous ones have been.
You talk about Avangard. That team has seen a little bit of kind of unfortunate situation when they were trying to make these rotates, especially crossing the bridges. As I might have to do it once again as the circle closes. We're going to have to see where this next circle closes. So Avangard does definitely need to cross that bridge, but on their path, 4 a.m. is going to be in the way, and Liquid does see have a little sight as well. Myth is going to be there a little bit as well. Just coming in. Avangard, once again, they're in this situation where they have to make a hard rush into this next circle, but we've seen time and time again that Avangard, when one member gets picked up and the second member gets picked up, it's just because not the same Avangard that we saw really last week, putting out so much offensive efforts.
Liquid right now all grouping up as 4 with the next circle. The top part of that bridge isn't very useful. Athletico, though, taking some shots. Booty gets dropped down. 4 a.m. also has a myth in the meantime. But Athletico, they do the fall and kill onto a member of C9, making their own transition through. No more damage is going to come from that.
Athletico, you talk about what they were trying to accomplish through this tournament was really make Oceania proud and really put more eyes onto the attention of what this region can do as a whole. And being the only representative from the Australian region, they want to do this and they really want to get some kills. They want to get some chicken dinners. It really hasn't happened to full extent yet, but we've seen a lot of very close efforts coming through.
4 a.m. We just spotted for a quick second, making a run into Rozhok. Looks like they're able to take the warehouse hill, but right now, Vega, they're still in the circle. They don't have to move too far now, but GSM, they did make the rotation from on top of the hill that we spotted at. GOL, pretty central position for them, taking some long-range shots. Not quite finding the mark, but SKS, bullet travel speed, as well as just having to lead your bullet at that range in general, it's quite ambitious to make. So, spots some people go into that little building, but can he get a land on the UAZ? It's not going to be the case, but can he at least deal damage to the tower? He does! He gets a tag on the Songjang as well.
And right now, GOL, Zhaozhu, and the rest of his team doing very well in the compound that they are in. And it really isn't coming to anything significant other than the fact that tires are blown out and it really makes one less utility with the vehicle that they lack. But OG and Entis, this team has made it to late game many, many times, but have disappointed to my heart's descent that I hope they did a little bit better on these critical situations, but they really haven't found the critical edge to make themselves move forward with it.
So Athletico, we did see them take out Moody in C9's transition through, but now C9, they're able to find a spot to play behind. Oh, nope, whoa, Frax, he's got to run away from that vehicle, but he's out in the open. It takes too many shots. Can't block off all angles at once. It's going to be another down for C9. I was going to say how C9 had a really good position to keep Athletico out of the circle, but that's going to be even harder for them now that they've lost one of their members. The finish didn't come through just yet, so it's perhaps a res for C9 coming in just clutch to keep 3 alive.
I mean, C9 is a little bit too far away from the rest of his teammate just to get the work on, but Frogger, you do say, does come up to make the kind of res onto Frex here. He does go down from the explosion we saw from there earlier. Athletico getting the second knock. And first, 1 kill they do have against C9 in specifically, but you see Athletico trying to make some kills, trying to be aggressive, and trying to show that we can still do this. And that's what they're trying to do here. And C9 is going to be their first opponent to face that defeat.
Still 59 alive. I have to say, for teams, all of them saying they want to be more aggressive, I feel like the first 2 games have been a little slow. Here's another crate that goes down, not too far from Liquid, but at this point in the game, you don't know if you want to go for it. And if they do, they're going to be sorely disappointed. This is not a great crate to have at this time in the game. It's not that much ammo, and it's really just an 8x scope. Even though I'm a fan of the M249, it's not the best crate gun, but just judging what's in the entirety of the crate, little disappointment. So I kind of hope that no one wants to go for that.
It really has to, but you do have to check it to see for yourself. Only we get to see without actually going to the danger
part of it.
If I yell
really loud, they may be able to hear me.
Oh, come on! You're trying to go for these.
Don't do it!
You're trying to go for these VR situations. Virtual reality isn't a thing in PUBG quite yet, but maybe we'll get there. But coming in, FaZe seeing the very much the good part, along with Liquid and Vega. GOL finding a lot of success with this next circle here. Vitality's gonna make the move in south end. They're gonna see FaZe, Hexetti on the right as well. So we might have to see Vitality and FaZe down on that kind of the north, eastern side of the map that we're going to see a lot of fight coming through.
LG now on their own rotation themselves, trying to get to their vehicles, make a rotation out, or they could perhaps come into contention with 4 AM. But now TSM taking position in the apartments just behind school. They're just barely not in the circle, but taking shots at Entis, making their way on a bike. Able to make it to the shack, taking some damage. Can they get inside before they take too much of it? Does seem they're able to get inside for now, and they're just barely inside, but they're in a bit of a pickle for the rest of the game. Tempo in a similar situation as well, but Luke and Zanpa don't have much to play around. And it's going to start to get really tight, particularly from the west side of the circle.
Coming in, Tempo Storm. They ain't really trying to make the shack the next home they're trying to get into. They're going to be very close. I think they are in the circle for right now as we see them, going to be on the edge of the circle as the time being. They threw out the smoke trying to get the corpse of whoever did die, and that we missed that little bit of moment. But Liquid, you saw earlier, along with FaZe and Vitality, who are now in the circle, they're going to be happy with their positions. Avangard trying to drive a little bit north from that river. One coming from the boat, one coming from the swimming, and Mumino also trying to make his swim kind of the end of that situation so they can all gather together. But you see that crate there, be picking a little bit on that, but Drainies, I think, at the rest of his teammates from Avangard, they have a little more bigger objectives to take.
So not that many players in the water right now. Water is usually a plan B because it's very hard to take someone out, so it's a nice place to stick around it. Winora taking some shots. Members of 4 AM just going to bomb straight into the water himself. Gotta be, no, he's staying on land. Ah, there he goes, right into the water before he can get taken out. So he's going to stay alive for now, but 4 AM, it's not a very good position for them to be in. They did get forced out of Rozhok by LG. They are in front now. It's only LG still coming in from behind. Bebe would make his own bomb on the northern side, probably going to go into the water himself. The rest of his team on the south.
But you see here, LG is kind of being separated here. Ghost and coming in, and Ghost is going to go get the kill onto Hefa from Athletico. We saw Athletico putting out numbers onto Cloud9 earlier, but Ghost from the other North American allies coming in, trying to do some counter attack to that. And we see a lot of people in the water at the moment as the circle does provide a little bit of it. We saw Avangard talking about Drainies, whether he will go for that crate or not. He does pick up the M249 along with that 8x scope, so that's going to be his for the time being. So they like having a lot of ammunition. They like having these weapons they can really counter upon, and it's going to be about LG and 4 AM. They're just kind of looking at each other, obviously well aware of the fact that they're both enemies. They're just sitting right next to them. They really can't do it with each other.
It's like Romeo and Juliet. Or what's that one story about? It's the okay, we can talk about Shakespeare later. Frexon making the rush on through, but it's Ninek from LG holding the angle, gets the spray down onto him.
You saw the C9 struggling a little bit earlier about how they were picked off one by Athletico. Now the next opponent they have to face is LG, and Luminosity definitely looking better ever since day 4 began for game 1 today. Luminosity is going to find a lot of success of trying to get the kills, and 9X is going to try to just rush into this next circle. He does have IFTY in the sighting so that he can go through, but Bebe and also you see 9X is there too, but Avangard getting a little bit shot as well, trying to see how he does with this. But IFTY trying to scout out 9X, but 9X is not going to come out of the blue quite yet. He does know that he's right there with him, so eventually he's going to have to travel north. But 9X here, he's going to run towards, but he's getting shot at, and that will be not coming through.
Yeah, from Ifty taking him out. Ifty holding the western side, but I don't think they're in the circle. They are just barely inside the circle themselves, but the next circle has revealed itself, and it's a bit of a doozy. If you can't bring that up on your screen.
Sure, we'll get it soon.
Just a quick moment. You can actually see it on the minimap just on the side. It swings off it, not much cover. Athletico, the first team to go down. Final spray down does come from TSM's break, so a good hold for them. Ibiza and Scoom hopping into a vehicle to make their rotation, trying to get to the circle, or at least to follow up with the rest of their teammates. Not too much that they can grab at this point in time. And Saul, look at all these swimmers. Ifty trying to take control of the coastline, also using the divot for some cover. But Vitality, they're in a good spot to punish that.
Yeah, you see on the kill feed here, James did get knocked from the Carnate from Vega. Maxazor doing the work onto one of the Liquid members. They did have to make a little bit of movement to get there, but we see again, Avangard and Nuktiv after picking up, oh actually it was actually the other member, Drainey's picked it up, but M16 trying to get the weapons onto him, the kind of the water dogs that we always talking about that really trying to make themselves higher position just on this path, but this next circle will not allow that as we see no water being consistent in this next area. So Avangard, LG, and 4AM, all these people kind of clustered into water. They do have to make an escape. We're going to see a lot of casualties coming forth.
Yeah, probably. Avangard, they're nice control in the end, but once that happens, they're going to be forced out into Solgon themselves. Tempo Storm actually get taken out in their own transition.
Going to be on the opposite side where we did miss out on the opposite side of the map. But right now, this is the important one here. IFTY and the rest of the people who are trying to get out of this water, they're done swimming for today because they have to make it to the next land side that they have to do. But 2 members of IFTY, we see 1 mid, 1 Avangard. Actually, 2 Avangard seems like it's trying to go through here. Drainey's gets knocked. LG still has a hard time getting out with Exton, Escalucia trying to get the wide out, but Nuktiv has clear sight of linings on the AKM, is ready to knock him out. Escalucia does go out, which means Myth is going to be out in 11th place. So coming in, we're going to see a lot of teams just getting knocked back and forth.
Yeah, it's too low of health. Transitions coming from elsewhere around the map. You can actually see a fight in the bottom left corner between Entis and GOL. I think TSM may be involved in that somehow as well. Oh no, TSM actually just got taken out, fortunately. But really, all these teams are established inside. It's just Avangard and Iffy that gather to make the run, but they're getting sprayed down by Vitality. There's not a lot of cover here for them to use. There's still a member of LG hanging out in the blue, trying to heal out. Can't go in the water himself, though, because then you can't heal in the water. So he's going to have to hope he can't outlast it. And oh, he outlasted enough because AVG goes down. But here's the fight between Entis and GOL.
This is a big fight between Entis and GOL. The circle is closing, but they do have to wipe the other team out before they can make their move. And Entis, I think they're very successful. Yes, they are. And knocking off GOL. So Korea versus China does go over to Korea this time around. Entis, they still have to make their move.
They do have a little bit of cover of this compound inside the circle, but the next circle reveals itself. You can see it on the minimap, and there's no compound inside. It's actually Vitality coming in from the northern end. They had it the worst out of all these teams in the compounds here, but now it's directly on top of them. They have to worry that they don't overextend themselves. You can see them being a little bit spread, but they have look at these hills that they can use. They are put in a very good position. They have a really good shot on taking a second game in a row if they can control their angles, but they're going to have to go up against Vega, FaZe, a couple members of, well, Ghost, a couple members of Liquid, and Ifty.
It makes it difficult to see. FaZe on the other side, they have to give up their compound to make it into the next circle, but it's going to be a death trap when it comes to Vitality, just having clear sighting onto the right side of where they're currently positioned. You see Monkey trying to get some peeks onto the scope that they're trying to see what the vision they can provide, but FaZe is going to be there on those compound. They have to escape sometime soon, and FaZe and Vitality most likely in game 2 have avoided kind of unnecessary conflicts until this late game here, but I see a lot of fight coming through eventually or later. Maxazor and Vampire Game, Maxazor going to be knocked here and trying to get some kills onto him before they can make their move. And Vega is not in the circle quite yet, so Ghost is going to be right below them. They have to knock him out before they can make their movement. It's not a short travel to distance, but Ghost is going to be knocked out before Vega has to make the travel.
Oh, Vampire Game able to make his way outside the building, but it doesn't matter because actually Fuzzface from FaZe that gets the spray down onto him. Ifty fall in the meantime. Last members do get taken out, but no, look, he has the spray down onto Ghost.
We saw about Vega had to make the clear of the Ghost before they can move out of there. One member being knocked out. Afflex is going to go down. Prophy's on low health. Austin and McCoy are generally healthy. They can come for the counter if they want to, but Vega only 2 members before they have to clear out the other side of the compound, which is Ghost. One team's going to be wiped before we see the other team making the next circle movement.
For now, though, FaZe looks like they're making their move out. You see Fuzzface on the bite, takes a little damage from the blue just to get a good angle of rotation, but he's bombing straight forward. He's going to stop just in time before he bombs into Vitality, and they have this nice hill setting up smokes as well to block vision from them, but they do have to make sure they don't get flanked from the side. Fuzzface holding a nice angle just in case Vitality want to push onto them, but from our perspective, Vitality, they are okay with just staying put.
Definitely does not want to force themselves into fights. They want to stay 4-man strong as much as they can. We know that Vitality is one of those best teams that really utilizes the 4 members kind of more than any other team that we've seen. But Entis after winning out that fight against GOL, but really not going to make that much move, and they're trying to just med it up, trying to get the highest position they can. That's not going to be a solution to getting the win. He's still, Sangjiang is trying to still go through the meds and really might not have this timer to get this off, but this will go into a knock. And Christis and the other two members of Entrance Ace, really trying to get this work out, but Temeri and Chris is going to be the one kind of hiding behind this rock. They didn't want to invest all three behind this area, but Vitality, he has an idea with the UAC parked right over there. You just can't go. The headshot coming through is going to be a nice shot coming in from Shiv. One more knockout for Elgin in 6.
Ghost, they did just take out Vega, but just in the nick of time, but they're taking damage from FaZe now as well. Hexetti got a couple of drops onto them, as well as with a little bit of help for the play zone. Really they have the lineup on them. Ghost, it's going to be difficult for them to leave this compound. And look at this ending. FaZe and Vitality, both 4 strong. OGen just get eliminated. Shiv gets the second kill on the second remaining player. And now it's just Ghost with 2 left to contend against 2 of the 3 powerhouses from EU, both 4 strong.
We always talked about FaZe and Vitality. This has been the classic storyline when we talk about El Clasico of PUBG. It's definitely been Vitality and FaZe for the entirety of 2018. Here we are once again at Game 2 of StarLadder, Day 4, the final day. We're here once again, Vitality FaZe. We've seen this many times before. We've seen it go either way, so we don't know exactly who the winner's going to be.
Yeah, and the circle once again does favor Vitality, though, so it does put FaZe a little bit on the back foot. Some nice ridges once again that Vitality can use, but we do know that FaZe can hit their shots. FaZe, though, Ghost being in that position makes it a little tricky for them because they can't push their aggression onto Vitality just yet. They have to wait to take out Ghost in the backside.
But at the same time, Ghost is so far away from where he is. He can get the hacks on the knock here, but otherwise, it's going to be very important for Ghost to try to make the movement, but it makes it very difficult when you're trying to just run up to the clear sighting of what Vitality and FaZe has on their track. So it's not going to be about Ghost making too much of a difference in the end. It's how they react with FaZe and Vitality, the 2 teams that will eventually come out in a 1v4.
Yeah, but look at the damage that Ghost did, and now FaZe, Vitality, they're on the attack. Monkey comes forward, FaZe starts to get a little bit of a spray down.
Hexetti does go out by McCoy at the split second. The Monkey comes out. FaZe getting the critical kill onto one of the members of Vitality. It's going to be a 3v3 scenario. We're going to see how this goes. FaZe feeling at the critical and really putting at the clutch against Vitality so far. Shiv and the rest of the members of Vitality, they're very aware of the situation. Very much a 3v3. Both teams are very much aware. So it's going to be the angle difference. It's going to be the clutch and the timing that you can get these shots off to make all the difference for the winner of this game.
They took out a very good kill onto Monkey to take out the side flank. FaZe here trying to run up and group up with the rest of his teammates. You don't want to be too separated. Mixing gets a drop on Shiv.
Shiv tried to flank on the side, but it doesn't work. Every much. The reaction of FaZe has been invincible and really coming out. Shadow's going to go down. Roxy's the last member, and it's going to be the full push now coming from FaZe.
It's a full-on kill now, and it's just Roxy left peeks around the corner. It doesn't matter, though, because FaZe finishes it off by himself. FaZe win this.
And wonderful to say that FaZe wasn't given the win in this situation. Vitality did have a slightly better position on the top of the hill. So a little bit of movement mistake that happened. Initially with FaZe making that side flank, that did work out, getting the initial kill, getting into a 3v3 scenario. But more importantly, the Shiv tried the same thing for Vitality.